Dominic Raab has been manufacturing his tilt to be prudent lead, as Michael Gove becomes the 8th MP to accede the racing to prosper Theresa May. Mr. Gove affirmed he would run to supply Brexit and bring together the side. Chancellor Philip Hammond told it would be a hazardous policy to disregard Parliament that has opposed not deal. On Friday, Mrs. May announced she would be permanent downward as Tory lead on June 7. Proverb it was period for else Main Secretary to try to supply Brexit. It came following a clearance by her MPs versus her schedule to get the departure transactions she had agreed in the EU via the House of Commons, that has already discarded it 3 times. The UK is now set to keep the Europe Association on October 31, following the unique Brexit day of March 29 was detained 2 times proper to the Parliament impasse. The latency has intended the UK has had to get portion in elections to the Europe Parliament, 3 years following it elect to keep the bloc. Mr. Gove, the Environmental Secretariat, affirmed on Saturday how he would run for lead. Proverb, I trust how I'm prepared to bring together the prudent and trade unionist side, prepared to supply Brexit, and prepared to conduct the large nation. He is anticipated to contour his tilt after on Saturday. Ex-Brexit Secretariat Dominic Raab and ex-House of Commons lead Andrea Leadsom show their management quotation in the Saturday newspapers. Happy modernize your web browser, use the listing under or choose a key. I would struggle for a fairer transactions in Brussels in talks to changing the supporting institutional arrangement, and if not I would be precise how we would keep on WTO Planet Trading Organization regulation in October. He added, I don't wish a WTO Brexit, but I believe except you are readily to hold our promises as political community we put by ourselves in a lot weaker stance in regulation of receive a transactions. He told Down there was no instance for a future expansion history the present day the UK is due to keep the EU, October 31, edition, it is really hard for Parliament now to make laws versus not deal, or in favour of a future expansion, except the execution, except a decisive Main Secretary is readily to concede in how, and I would know. But Chancellor Philip Hammond named for trade-off, proverb the proposal how it was probable to reconsider the departure treaty was a fig tree sheet for which is in fact a politics of outgoing on not deal regulation. The is a Parliament democratic state. A Main Secretary who ignores Parliament cannot wait to pull through really length, he alerted. Ex-Job and Pensions Secretariat Esther McVeigh said Heaven's Sophie Mountain Range on Saturday, 31 October is the key day and we are upcoming out later, and if how tool out of a transactions later house which it tool. We won't be request for any more than extensions. If Europe wants to go behind to us, the doorway is outdoor if they wish a superior transactions. Requested if she preferred a not deal Brexit, Ms. Leadsom told, of year, in procedure to prosper in a negotiating you include to be produced to keep out of a transactions, but I include a 3-point schedule for Brexit, for how we get out of the Europe Association. I'm really upbeat on it. My part as lead of the House of Commons tool how I've had a really nice understanding in which is necessary to be made, and I see striker to installation how out one day the campaigning starts. They include United Overseas Secretariat Jeremy Search, his forerunner Boris Johnson, World Growth Secretariat Rory Stewart, and Public Health Secretariat Matt Signature in the fight for the management. Tory MPs include before the 1-week start June 10 to put their behalf striker, and the side hopes a new lead will be in location by the end of July. Members will include the definitive say on who wins, following the final list is whittled downward to 2 by a episode of votes by Tory MPs. Mrs. May will go on as Main Secretary. Time the management competition conducted location. Mr. Gove had been support Boris Johnson to be Main Secretary, before he, unwillingly but solidly, as he put it, signed he by himself should stay and Mr. Johnson should stay towards the period. The two men will get every sum on. But in these discovery skirmishes of the campaigning, which is growing as the center error link is the low instincts of the candidates on a not deal Brexit. Several are readily to hug it, others believe it would be a calamity. The worldview of the final victor could form our nation for year to go. Several candidates include tense the requirement to get a Brexit transactions via Parliament. And in a straight critique of Boris Johnson, Mr. Stewart told, I would not be in the office of who clearly enterprising for a not-deal Brexit. Mr. Signature told Mrs. May's heir must be savagely fair on the trading offs required to get a transactions via Parliament. He told, Tom Watson's already of, surprise party, hard to get on the part of Duke Machiavelli, but I've got news story for Tom. Machiavelli was efficient. He's a impoverished simulate of how. If he's hard to rotate Labour members versus Corbyn and in his favour, later he's departure to miss catastrophically. Currently is the period to conduct your nervous system, since a general poll, that is the just item how will solve the position, is nearer now rather than whatever.